Dan Kolko here with Nats pitching coach Jim Hickey. Hick, how you doing?
Doing well. Nice and cool. I love it.
Yeah, a little brisk day for you. Let's get into your pitching staff. Overall, rotation's been really good this year. Significant improvement over last year numerically. Want to get into a couple of your starting pitchers, especially the young guys. Let's start with MacKenzie, who finishes off his first month in a Nationals uniform. Had some really good starts, had some starts where he wasn't able to work deep into the ball game. How do you evaluate his full body of work to this point?
I would give him a high mark. I'm not quite sure what that would be right now, but like you said, some really good, some really high points. Specifically like the game against the Mets was outstanding. There's been a couple of times, including last night, where he basically pitched 4 innings and it took him 100 pitches to do so, and that was a little bit of an unusual circumstance, just with the high volume of foul balls and everything that he had. It wasn't like he was just, he wasn't killing himself. But overall, if you had told me this is what the first 5 or 6 starts would look like, I think I would have taken that.
What, in terms of his off-speed pitches, his fastball is good, and yesterday it had a lot of life on it, popping 98. Command sometimes gets away from him a little bit, but it seems like he really leans on those 2 off-speed pitches. What do you like about the curveball and the slider for him?
Well, I like both of those off-speed pitches, as obviously he does as well. I like the velocity. I like the shape. I like both of them are swing and miss type of pitches. What we had just got done discussing, a matter of fact, about 15 minutes ago inside, is the lack of the changeup usage. In his last 2 starts, he's only thrown 1 changeup in each start, and it needs to be something that, as I mentioned, the foul balls from last night. If he's throwing a changeup, to the arm side of the plate, like he's throwing a majority of his fastballs, you're gonna get a lot more swing and miss and a lot less foul balls, when essentially everything that's on that side of the plate is going to be a fastball, to a right-handed hitter for the most part. So I like both breaking balls, swing and miss type pitches, and he's going to become probably a pretty darn good strikeout pitcher. Before too long, I expect that he'll come pretty quickly, as a matter of fact. But I think, just in terms of being as effective as he can, he absolutely positively needs to give himself a chance with about 8, 10, or 12 changeups per start.
What have you learned about him as a guy in terms of his demeanor, his work ethic, the way that he goes about his business?
His work ethic is outstanding. I was going to say outstanding for a young player, outstanding for anybody really. Very extremely competitive, obviously. Maybe not a great self-evaluator in terms of trying to be perfect. Just had this conversation with another pitcher not too long ago about making perfection the enemy of good. It's tough enough to be good. So don't hold yourself to such a high standard. That is it's fine to hold yourself to a high standard, but let's just be more realistic in terms of evaluating our performance. And it was 6 innings and 1 run, and I should have done this and I should have done that. So it's a good trait to have, but it just kind of trying to rein him in a little bit in terms of being so hard on himself.
Let's talk about Josiah Gray now. His numbers through his first month of 2023 are fantastic. What do you think has been the biggest factor in the start to this season that he's gotten off to? Better fastball command this year, implementation of the cutter, which he added last year, something else? What do you think has led to Josiah pitching well to this point?
All of the above. The addition of the cutter has certainly helped. The elimination of the walks, or at least cutting down, has certainly helped. The fastball command, especially early in the count. We've talked about this a couple of times, Josiah and myself. And when he throws good quality fastballs down in the strike zone early in the count, it really just kind of changes things. If he's throwing to a left-handed hitter, that fastball that we see, get away from him arm side and turns into this non-competitive type of a pitch, then you can almost eliminate, this bottom portion of the zone, which keeps them from swinging at the breaking balls that are down there. So it's been the addition of the cutter. Yes, it's been the maturation of, Josiah himself. It's been a little bit better fastball command. So it's where he is at right now is a really good spot overall, and I think it's probably a pretty natural progression for a young pitcher. Obviously he pitched here in 2021, but just not a whole bunch. So it's his second full season. He's getting the feel for it. He's getting a sense of everything that's going on, getting accustomed to the league and the other hitters and the people. We don't talk a whole lot about it, but Caber Ruiz, catching these guys, they're still finding their way. They're still learning things about themselves and each other and what they can do and can't do. We just feel like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. But these are some really, really young people that we're talking about, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah. With Josiah, it seems like at times in the past he's really hunted strikeouts, and almost from my eyes, looks like he's trying to strike guys out on the first pitch of an at-bat or the second pitch, which obviously is impossible. Do you think the improved defense overall this year is letting him, and some of your other pitchers as well, feel more confident filling up the strike zone and knowing that they can get outs on balls that are put in play as well?
Well, I would think that they're probably certainly more confident in the defense that's behind them this year right now, but I don't think that Josiah was looking to strike everybody out because he didn't trust the defense. He was just looking to strike everybody out because the strikeout is sexy. And we've had this conversation. It sounds very simplistic, but how do you strike out more batters? You strike out more batters by essentially facing more batters.
Pitching deeper into games.
How do you face more batters? Yeah. Sandy Alcantara strikes out a lot of hitters.
He pitches 8-9 innings. Yeah,
exactly. So he's taken that to heart. Not to try to put somebody away until there is 2 strikes, and you don't need 3 swings and misses. And a 7-pitch inning is pretty sexy too.
Yeah, that'll play for sure. Let's talk about a new guy to your rotation, Trevor Williams. We're still getting to know him a little bit. I'm sure you kind of are as well. What do you like about Trevor? He's been in the bullpen in the past. He's pitched in the rotation a little bit in the past. Full-time starter this year. How do you think he's coming along?
Yeah, I think he's coming along just fine, just as advertised. Really, he's just he's not a power guy. He's more than a finesse guy, but he's not that 95, 96 guy. He's got to go ahead and move the ball around, change speeds, which he does well. He game plans well. He's a very he's older. He's not old, but he's older, and he's especially in relation to most of this staff, and he has kind of stepped up as a quiet leader, if you will, ready to lend a hand anywhere he can. But he's been very solid, very consistent, pretty productive overall. And we talked about it a little bit. All we're looking for is maybe 3 more outs, and it turns out from being pretty good and okay to being really good, and we can win with this.
Let's go to the bullpen now. You've got a couple guys that are establishing themselves at the big league level. Hunter Harvey is one of them. He's, a first-round pick a bunch of years back of the Orioles, always had a lot of promise, and now that he's been healthy and in a bullpen role in which he feels comfortable, it seems like he's really settling in. Talk to me about Hunter. Give us some behind the scenes on him, because he's kind of a quiet guy, but I know he's very sharp and witty and has the pedigree, obviously, with his dad being a big league closer. What should we know about him?
Well, I don't know if I know a whole lot of secrets about Hunter. He's definitely a country boy. That's no act, for sure, and he embraces that. But his success is really no surprise, because as you said, he was a first-round draft pick, and for a reason. And anybody who's been around him has known that all he needed to be was healthy, and it took quite some time. And knock on wood, so far so good. But that high-octane fastball is. That thing is legit, but it's not just the fastball. He's got the breaking ball, and he's got the split finger as well. And, what a signature moment the other day in New York when he came in. And, he just blew those 2 guys away with men on second and third and the game on the line. So that was very impressive. So he's impressing me, but I'm not surprised, because he's certainly capable of that. But it's really nice to see. Yeah,
another guy that's had some big moments and blown some hitters away is Mason Thompson. And you guys have asked him, and he's delivered multiple inning appearances in a number of his appearances on the mound this season. How do you think, or what do you think is the best way to utilize a guy that can be really effective in high leverage spots for you, maybe in the 7th, 8th inning, but can also be a guy that you can lengthen out and can give you 2 or 3? Is that kind of a tough thing to manage at times?
It's a good question. It's tough to decide which way to go. If you have a game where the starter pitches 5 innings and you want to go Mason Thompson and C.J. Edwards and Hunter Harvey and Kyle Finnegan, now you're using 4 different individuals, and 4 different people have to get their job right, or we possibly lose the game. So on the other hand, if all of a sudden, like the other night in New York, Mason Thompson is out there and he pitches 1 inning on 8 pitches and another inning on 10 pitches, and he's got it and he's got the feel, that's it's a tough decision to make. So I think what you'll see in the future is, I don't think you'll see a whole bunch more of the 3 inning stints. You may, but I think you'll see, multiple innings, if you will, not multiple innings, but up and down, if you will, and a number of, one inning appearances as well, because we trust him in any situation, obviously, that we have.
Last question, Hick, kind of a broad overview of your pitchers to this point, rotation, bullpen. If there's one thing that you want to see these guys continue to do as a whole as we get deeper into the season, I know it's kind of dependent guy to guy on their own stuff and how they attack, but what's the overall message to a group as we get deeper into the year?
Throw strikes, get ahead, get ahead. We've done a better job probably on the whole in terms of allowing the base on balls, but there's been far too many instances of, especially leading off of the inning, where we go ahead and we open up with a leadoff walk, and now there's just a soft single and a fly ball, and the next thing you know, there's a run on the board. So this is what we've been preaching ever since spring training. Throw strikes, work quick, change speeds, and we did a great job in spring, and we've done a great job in stretches, but we've also kind of dropped the ball a little bit, if you will, in some of those other spots. So I would just like to see that, just much more aggression, and just put the pedal down.
Hick, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Jim Hickey.